Hi guys, Renee here. Today we're making delicious homemade from scratch tapioca pudding, creamy tapioca pudding. And it has been my favorite since I've been a little girl. It's always been my favorite pudding. So once you have this recipe and you do this, because it's so quick, so easy, and so delicious, you will not buy that stuff from the store anymore that has all the additives and preservatives, the things you don't want in it, because this is so simple and so easy and so creamy and delicious. And you will love it. All we have here in this pan is we have farm fresh egg. I have an organic egg, but you can just use a regular egg. Just one egg. Here we have 2 cups of 1% milk. Usually it's a lot creamier and thicker if you use regular milk, 2% or whole. I had 1%, so I'm using it. So if you've got a lower percentage milk, like if you want to use skim or half or 1%, just do 2 cups because it's not as got the fat in it you'll need. If you're going to do a whole milk or 2%, do about 2.5, a good heavy 2.5 cups of milk if you're doing the whole milk or the 2%. I only am doing the 1, so it's 2 cups. So it stays a good thickness. So 2 cups of 1% milk if you're doing whole, or 2%, do the 2.5 at least. And here we just have 1/3 cup regular sugar. And here we just have 2 teaspoons or so of vanilla. If you have pure vanilla, just do 1 teaspoon. So 2 teaspoons if it's imitation. That's what I had on hand because they were out of the pure when I went to the store. So it's imitation, which I usually use pure. So the imitation, you use 2 teaspoons. Over here, we just have 3 tablespoons of just your instant tapioca. You can get it in any grocery store usually. It's just an instant tapioca. And there's 3 tablespoons there. And this usually makes a small, about half this, 4 of them. If you want a nice full, some nice servings, double this recipe. Because this only makes about 4 little tiny desserts. So if you want more, bigger family, double it. It won't last, trust me. This is so fast and delicious and simple. All we're going to do right now, and this is all you need, and this is and I don't know if y'all know, but tapioca has 0 fat, 0 sodium, and it has very low calories, and it's, very wholesome. So this is, not bad for you at all for dessert. Tapioca also has 0 sodium, so we're just going to mix the milk and whisk the egg and the milk together right now. That's all we're going to do right now. Then we're going to put everything else in. Right now we're just whisking the milk and the egg together. Okay, all we did is whisk the milk and egg together. Now we're putting everything else in but the vanilla. Vanilla goes in last after you cook it and boil it. So everything else goes in after we whisk the milk and the egg together. Everything else goes in. So you just put in your sugar and put in your 3 tablespoons of tapioca. Then we're just going to stir it. And believe it or not, we're going to put a timer on and we're going to let this sit for 5 minutes. You want that delicious tapioca to sit and absorb up the moisture. So we're going to let this sit. Everything's in it but the vanilla. We're going to let this sit for 5 minutes. I'm going to put on a timer for 5 minutes. And like I told you, tapioca is wonderful. It has no sugar in it, no sodium, and no fat. Very, very low calories. Okay, our tapioca mixture is set for 5 minutes. As you can see, we reserved our vanilla because that goes in the end. We're going to put our stove on a medium-high heat. And once it gets going, we're going to stir it constantly, and let it come to a rolling boil. And basically what a rolling boil is just it still boils as you stir. That's a good rolling boil. And we want to do that for about at least a little, maybe 60 seconds, about a minute. And so it's a good rolling boil, you know, and let it stir up. And then we'll take it off the heat and put in our vanilla. Okay, it's only been a couple minutes. We're still stirring. You got to stir it constantly, so we're still stirring it. And like I said, it's only been a couple minutes. We're going to keep stirring it. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. It's a rolling boil, as you can see. And even when you stir it, it's boiling. We're going to do this for about 60 seconds and add our vanilla. Okay, it's been about a minute. We added our vanilla, and we are just going to put it in our containers, our dishes for dessert dishes. Then we're going to let it cool in the refrigerator. Okay, I've put our tapioca pudding, homemade. That was so simple and easy. And it's going to go in the refrigerator for about probably 35-40 minutes and let it chill. You can also eat this warm, which I told you it's going to do probably these little containers, maybe 3 or 4. If you want more for your family, like I said, if you want maybe 6 or something like that, you're going to have to double the recipe. This is only it made these 2 with these little things. And then, of course, I'm going to eat some hot. You can eat this hot too. I take my little mixture, put my little cinnamon mixture on there, and you can serve it warm too, which I eat it warm all the time. I eat it chilled and I eat it warm. It's absolutely delicious. Like I said, I'm just going to take these little beauties and I'm going to put them in the fridge. They're going to be a great dessert. Fast, easy. Like I said, I'm going to eat this warm and I'll let it cool down for about 10 minutes, and it's absolutely delicious. You know, it takes you back to your childhood. It is so good. And I have a diabetic daughter, as I've said before. I don't know if y'all remember me telling you that, but almost all my recipes I have also condensed down, broke them down to be diabetic friendly. She is insulin dependent. She has been since she's been 8 years of age, juvenile diabetic. So I'm very used to recipes and making them, and, you know, making them sugar-free, and so they're tasty for her. She, like most diabetics, has a hard time finding something good and delicious that's wholesome, that like doesn't taste fake, or it's just too artificial sweetener. Or so this recipe is really good for a diabetic, just so you know. I made it many times and she loves it. She's very choosy. And you just take the 1/3 of sugar and use your favorite artificial sweetener. I don't use anything. I usually use the sugars that are plant-based, that are natural and wholesome. I always do, but you can use your favorite, whatever you like. That's just what I do. And you use just a little less than the sugar that it calls for, just a little bit less than the 1/3 cup of regular sugar. And this turns out beautiful, and it's sugar-free. So not only do you have the wholesome deliciousness, no preservatives added, is the whole tapioca that's wholesome for you with no fat, no sugar, no sodium. You'll have it sugar-free, which I do very often, like I said, for my daughter. But I'm going to go ahead and put these in the refrigerator, and we'll get them out in about 40 minutes and put some whipped cream on them and a little bit of my concoction I always use. It's just 3-to-1 for to mix together of cinnamon and sugar. 3 sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. So very easy, and I always have it. And my tip for today is I do a lot of storing, of course, as we all do. I don't know if you think this helped me a lot when I thought of it. I'll put something in, and then I'll try to get it out, and it's globbed in there, or it's stuck in there, and it's almost like cement sometimes. Depends on what casserole I put in here, when I store it in the refrigerator, when I have leftovers. All you have to do, this is wonderful, and if you have a plastic container you use, I use a lot of glass, but if you've used plastic and you notice that your food, your spaghetti sauce and stuff also gets like, it gets stained, this helps that too. It keeps a stain out of your plastic Tupperware. But you just take a little bit of your spray, Spray that good before you put in your leftovers, and it will come out easy peasy. And it won't stain your plastic as bad when you use your Tupperware plastics and stuff. It is wonderful, and it's great to do. Okay, our tapioca is chilled for 40 minutes. And as you can see, it looks absolutely delicious. All I did is threw a little bit of Cool Whip on top, dusted a little bit with that cinnamon and sugar mixture that I always have on hand, and voila. Creamy, homemade tapioca pudding that doesn't have any of that store stuff in it. You know, look at that. So good. Just creamy tapioca pudding. You won't be disappointed with this recipe. And it keeps so good in the refrigerator for quite a few days, although it will not last. Hope you liked today's recipe. Don't forget to subscribe. This is Renee. Happy cooking and baking.